So let's get in some leaderboards. One thing I want to say before, or as I'm getting into these as well, I will make this announcement a couple of times because it's so important. Next Wednesday, Builders Call is going to be everybody invited, not just builders. We have a big rollout for the Quality RX. We're going to have a lot of behind the scenes info on that. And then 1 o'clock, we're having our impact day. The company that we worked with, that this is their specialty, a couple of weeks ago, I saw a lot of comments during the impact event that were hilarious. I think we broke the internet. We did break them for a minute. Hopefully they're back. 12:30 to 1 o'clock next week. Leaderboards, big time announcements. We'll squeeze it into 30 minutes. 1 o'clock is our impact day. And we have no doubt that we can raise a couple $100,000. Everybody shows up, get your game faces on. If you don't have any money to give back, don't let that stop you, please, from joining us and being a part of what we're doing. Nobody knows who's giving what necessarily. It's not about that. We just want everybody to be there with us and see the impact that all of you are making. Even if, like I said, you're working towards being able to make a bigger one, we totally understand. So
invite the friends, invite the family. This is, I think it's a great opportunity to bring that warm market on. We were talking about that on the last call. Like, invite your friends, invite your family. I think it's the time of the year where people want to give. This is a great platform for it. Who doesn't want to support Make-A-Wish? There's a lot of people in your network that probably already support Make-A-Wish. So, join in the fun, and let's make this. I think, and Brandon, you may have just said this, but I think that we may end up raising more money because it's done on a national call like this, and we already have our built-in natural attendance to this call. So I think we're going to do some real good stuff next week.
Good call. Got a good one for Kishon Monteith with Melanie Ray, Carlton, Lear, Jordan Howell, top producer Wade Shiu. It's going to be a good one. What is your currency? Stick around. Let's hit some numbers first, and we have a few to hit, so I'll go through them somewhat quickly. Congratulations, new writer for the week, Brian Bowman with 6,400. For the month, Jenny and Chuck Aguilar with 34,000, just short of 34.5. What an entrance!
Heavens!
What an entrance! Welcome, team. Top 3 producers for the week. You can see the top 10 here in front of you. But the top 3 on a great week to go out and get some production. You know what I'm saying, Casey? There's some people that need to take some time off, and I get it. That's okay, but not everybody. The Godfather himself went out and wrote $19,000. Francisco Coronel wrote $21,600, and Sean Kim wrote just short of $25,000 in a week that some people would say, people don't want to buy insurance.
That Kimbrell agency is on fire, dude.
Watch out. Watch out.
It's killing it.
Number 1 producer for the month of November, Sean Hogue with 55,729, just squeezed by Jeremy Whitaker with 55,162. Great month for a lot of people out there. If you weren't happy with your numbers, that's okay. That's partially because the way your brain works is you're never really quite happy with what you're doing because you're always focused on the next thing. But there are always ways to get better. Generally, that means buying more leads, talking to more people, and selling more insurance. It really is that easy. Okay, so you just got to have more activity. That's all it is. Keep it simple like that. Top 10 producers, number 1 producer for the week, app count wise, is Monique Alrawi. Lord.
It's Monique.
Also Monique for the month with 61 applications.
Another week. Like we got some Champions Cup fighters here.
Yes, we do. Jenevon Stowe, top Medicare sub producer for the week. Sabrina Fernbacher for the month with just short of 5,000. Top DI producer Eric Rush with 1,962 just on the DI board. Got some really cool stuff coming out with disability products.
Just about to say, if you like disability,
I don't want to talk about too much. I get fired up. It's so
buckle up. Good things coming.
Stuff that you guys are going to be able to do without a single lead is going to blow your mind. All right. Amanda Torma is the top disability income writer for the month with just short of $5,000. Top IUL producer for the week, Audrey Bobbinger. Top for the month is Wael Ali, $35,700. Way to go, Audrey.
Still one of my favorite names.
That's a great one, isn't it?
Not that I can pronounce it, but you did great.
I don't know if I did great, Wael. I hope I did.
Wael.
Wael. Wow.
Hmm.
How about we
That
just
is a
call
cool
it
name.
Ali?
Ali's, I mean,
Floating like a
I would not
butterfly
call
and
it
stinging
Call 'em
like a
Ali.
bee. That's what he's doing. Top annuity producer for the week, John Boast. Could be Bost. And for the month, Aaron Walker, $456,000. Way to go, team. Top DFL producer for the week, Lance Lewis, $5,700. Top for the month, George White, $27,883. Not too shabby, man.
Look at Jenny and Chuck again there.
I know.
They came in and are killing it in DFL, guys.
They are. Top recruiters for the week. In the base, it was Scott Forehand with 6.
Nice.
Ashley and Tyler also with 5. That's good. Top direct, Jacob Pogue with 23. Licensed recruits, Ashley and Tyler with 5. Number 1 on the directs licensed board, Jacob Pogue. Seeing a lot more licensed recruiting going on, and we love it. Keep it coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Go help those folks. They need you. Top base shop new writers, Ian Graham. Top direct new writers, Jacob Pogue. Look at that. When you got 13 recruits and then 13 writers, that means you're doing something right. Not saying it was batting 1,000. There's some holdover on there. That's pretty good.
Holy.
There's a lot of seasoned new agents, and I'm not sure I can hit them all for fear of time, but we'll get some stuff out on social. Look at all these folks. Congratulations, guys. Just unbelievable. The focus has been put on this by new agents. The focus has been put on it by managers, the ones that are having direct conversations, making sure that the target is very clear and known is very important. So congratulations to everybody that's getting that done.
Do you guys understand the impacts of the SNAs going up from just 8-10 months ago to sometimes having 3 or 4 in a month to what we're seeing now, which is 12, 13, 14, 25 in a week?
Yep.
This is a record.
That has a domino effect long-term, even midterm, in the amount of agency owners we're going to be promoting and the amount of new agency directors, RADs, all the way up the food chain.
Yeah. You know what the thing is too, is like many of these are licensed agents and they're saying the same thing. I can't believe how much money I can make in how little time it takes me to make it. I can't believe how good these leads are. I can't believe. And it's just a constant reminder that there are so many people out there that need your help. They're in a system where they're just not able to kind of take that growth cap off and blow through it. And so it's so good to see all these new names getting a taste of it.
Congrats, guys.
And seeing the managers repeated multiple times during the week that are focusing their efforts on getting these agents to this place. Like, you see it right there, Miller.
You know what we need to do? Matter of fact, Todd, take a note on this. I want to start a leaderboard for AOs. So this will just be direct to your AO on SNAs we can start with for the month. We may want to look at that for the week, but I love highlighting the people that
maybe direct
are making the biggest impact. Maybe directs too. We could do AO and direct.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that. Key leaders for the week, Douglas Dorr with 22,406. Number 1 for the month was Julie Mai, 91,386. Look at all of these that are over 50 grand. And there's a lot more of those. Congratulations, everybody. Top AO, former Metallica frontman James Satterfield joined the organization, 36,999.
Go on, James.
For the month. Woo!
Dang. Look at these guys.
4,259.
Our agency owner categories are looking like the agency director and RAD categories did a year ago.
Yeah, they are.
Crazy.
Congratulations, James. Top AD, Sean Kim, don't play, $75,000. Larry and Ann Griffin with $375,000 for the month. I say keep an eye on every name you see on here, but Sean Kim, you were just saying the Kimbrell Agency in general, man. Whew, good stuff going on over there. Eileen Balmer is always the raddest of the rad, isn't she? $623,000 in premium. That is radical. Top MVP, the Godfather himself, for the week and the month with $525,000. Way to go, Capistrano. Top senior vice president, Kyle and Lisa Kimbrell. Told you we'd be calling their name all the time. $964,223.
Hello.
Hello.
Watch out for Nate Offord too, man. He's on a tear. You saw that text earlier.
Yep.
Record back to back or growth back to back to back to back. Keep
And
coming.
like the Spilled Dinner Agency too.
Nate is on it right now,
just
man.
carrying just running with the torch, running
That's cool.
with it. So awesome to see that.
Yeah, it is. Carl Miller, number one on the EVP board with 140.
Come on, Carl.
$630,000 for Carl Miller. Come on now, Carl. Top associate partner, Lynn Watkins with $483,000.
In a week.
I see Tarler. Is that what we call him? Tarler?
We've got to get a good nickname going for this.
I don't know how you're going to beat Tarler. I
Tarler?
guess you could go Terrace. That sounds too close to something bad, though. Tarler it is.
Terrace.
Lynn Watkins, 2.6 million.
Dang. That's a big month.
Lynn.
Way to go.
Lynn was roasting
I have,
Puckett on social media over college football over the weekend, by the way, Brandon. It was good.
Oh man. Easy Eddie with 692 and just short of 3.5. Marshall Whalen 662 and 3.384. Neck and neck. Way to go. That Smith agency number is incorrect, by the way. Obviously, that's for the week at 306. We'll get that corrected. Jacob Pogue, top direct for the week with 143, and also for the month with 704,000. Way to go, Pogie. No doubt that you're going to be in the running for number one when you're in the running every single week for number one on recruiting. It's really that simple. Top base shop, Sean Kim, just shy of 50 grand. Edward Pritchett for the month, though, with $185,000. Way to go. Look at these bonuses. If you're brand new to the company, hold on to your chair, because these are some big numbers. This is in addition to, not in lieu of, $144,119 for the top there. Look at Danny Young at 72. Top five, we just got to call these names out, man. Delaney at 55, Danny Young 72, Lynn Watkins 80 grand, Edward Pritchett 116, almost 117,000. Marshall Whalen 145 or 144,000. Really well done, everybody. Really well done. Here's some Champions Cup stuff.
There we go.
Long way to go.
Nice.
These numbers have been, I believe, I don't know if they've actually been corrected yet with the true up. We'll get back to that.
Yep.
There's a true up at the end of every month. We are looking at net place numbers, not submit. We are looking at submit on a weekly leaderboard, but we will true it up once a month. So we'll verify and clarify that for you. You can see the top directs here, but Jenny and Chuck, number one so far, Aguilar on the producer side, but it's tight, man.
Brand new. Jenny and Chuck just showed up.
Dominating already. Jacob Pogue, number one on the direct score with 747,000. And the top corporate producer, look at that, 84,502. Way to go, Alicia.
Alicia's fantastic.
Way to go.
She's awesome.
We're going to hammer on this more in the coming weeks, make sure the true up is in place. But leads, contacts, activity. That's how you win this contest. So for the month, we paid $901,409 out in bonuses just for the month of October, 7.5 year to date on equity, 541 on capital. You can see the numbers there. Total bonus payout year to date, about 8.6 million. All right, this is a big one. This is what we were just talking about. Make sure next week, Wednesday, December 8th, everybody stop what you're doing. If you're driving down the road, pull over into a parking lot, put it into your calendar, or you can probably just tell your phone to do it while you're driving. Next week, Wednesday the 8th, 12:30, we're going to have a big old call. This is during the builders call, but we want everybody there, not just builders. Quility RX is ready to rock. You will also need to make plans for being available Thursday, the following day at 11 a.m. because you have to go through a training webinar to get certified to have access to this, to get your link to be able to share it. We want everyone to have their link to be sharing this through the holidays. Join us next week, 12:30. We're going to go over all the nitty-gritty details of it. That's a big one, by the way.
Yep,
Big
that
one.
can be a big value add in a home.
Yeah, I don't know if people understand how big that's going to be. That's a big one.
No,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
start walking out of homes where people are taking multiple medications and saving people 40, 50, 60, 80, $100 a month or more. It's a big deal.
It's a really big
Big
deal.
value add.
And I think the revenue that is going to be generated by agents that are helping people is significant.
Yep.
Another way that we're creating passive income opportunities for agents. This Thursday, Jimenez, Ryan Federico closing the gaps on policy reviews. That's at 11 o'clock Eastern. Also on Thursday, we got our final expense webinar with Gear Keith. Monday the 6th, we've got Ashley Tarr and Tyler Harris Agency during our Monday morning sales training. And DFLIVIN hosted by Mr. Mike Resman as usual on Tuesday the 7th. Now, Mr. Williamson, this is some good stuff. I'm going to turn over to you. You want me to stop my share so you can pick it up, correct?
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be great.
Right.
And you all are off to the next.
yeah. Brandon and Casey,
Yes.
thank
Wish
you
we could
guys
stay
so
with you
much,
guys.
man.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
being a part of the meetings the last couple of days, guys, and getting to see some of the things that those two and Pope are working on, guys. I mean, we talk about it all the time, but we're all so fortunate and blessed by your leadership and what you continue to do and look for ways to make everybody out here that's on this call have more opportunity to make more money, make more impact, and to get more time back to spend the time with their family or the ones they love. And man, I'm gonna have a hard time next few days not calling and letting out a few secrets of some of the stuff I've heard. It's just crazy. But we love you guys. We appreciate you.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. The
y'all.
last thing I'll
Appreciate all
say
of you.
is, I know it's championship week. I know there are a lot of Georgia fans out there. We just, as Alabama fans, we want you to take it easy on us this week.
Please.
Please just take it easy on
Yeah,
us.
you just had a rough week. It was a good week. It finished okay, but it's a little touch and go there for.
Well, Spivey
About
says that
4 quarters.
was all intentional. Like we really go out of our way to break our.
Saban planned for 12 months how to break the hearts of Auburn fans, and he did it to perfection.
Well done.
That's
fine.
We're that good.
Good luck, everybody that's got a championship stake this weekend, though.
Michigan,
Thank
man,
you,
we
guys.
had a killer
Blue.
week. The
Yeah,
Go
you
Blue,
did.
man. We're excited.
Ladies and blue, baby.
My
They're
son's
ready.
going to the Big Ten game. Of course, he was down on the field afterwards. He's loving life. Good stuff.
Nice.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
guys.
Jim.
Keep the
Peace.
We've got back to back biggest run rates we've ever had as a company. Keep the momentum rolling. Okay. That's just our closing comments through all of this is we had a holiday. It wasn't a holiday week by the looks of the numbers. It looks like we just had a holiday. We're very happy with where we came in from a volume standpoint. So that tells us you guys were intentionally leading your teams through it. And now just the name of the game is to keep that pedal down. Let's set ourselves up for a monster kickoff to the new year by coming in hot. So thank you guys.
Thank you,
Love it.
Casey.
Ryan,
Yep.
take it away, buddy.
Will do.
Definitely,
Will do.
to give a little perspective around that, guys, to what Casey just said, during the Thanksgiving week, we submitted the same amount that we averaged on non-holiday weeks last year.
Yeah.
Just think about that. Our new
That's
holiday
well
weeks were what we were doing typically every week last year. So
Well done, guys. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, Casey. And yeah, really, really thrilled. We got Justin Finney with us again this week. You can unveil Justin, and good to have you with us. If you are out there, I think your camera's off, but you can pop on. But there you are. Hey, bud. How's it going on the pack? What is it? The northwestern corner up there in Seattle. How's your day been?
Great.
Awesome. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, excited to have you, but for everyone on the call, I'm going to share my screen here. What I want to do for a few minutes is talk to you about the results that we've seen from the cohort that we launched. Are y'all, can you see my screen, Justin, that says results and brand new cohort launches? We're good to go?
Yeah.
All right. Just want to make sure. So I want to share some results. We're on week 7 now of a cohort that we launched called Ignite Performance, a 10-week coaching intervention, if you will, coaching process. And we're going to roll out some brand new cohort launches today based on our 4-phase proven process. And I want to get us comfortable starting to hear about our proven process. This is stuff that's been in the works for actually a couple years now. But when we use this language of activate, accelerate, advance, and achieve, we're talking about specific level of leadership focused coaching and training and equipping things that we're going to be providing in an increasing way. And so when you hear about activate, we're talking about that brand new sales representative through the team leader level. When you hear about accelerate, we're talking about key leaders up to AO. When you hear about advance, it's just when you hit AO and you're on your way up to become a regional agency director. And when you hear about achieve, it's from regional agency director to the top. So we're just going to talk about that more and more. No need to get in the weeds, but I do want to talk about the Ignite Performance 10-week challenge. And we are going to offer a fresh cohort of this 10-week challenge starting January 2nd. Now, the Ignite Performance 10-week challenge, who is this for? It's for people who have written 6 apps, because we want you to get a little comfortable writing some applications, right? So if you've written 6 applications all the way up through team leader, that's specifically who this is for. We're becoming more and more precise with what we offer based on our data, based on the research that we're doing and the pilots that we're running. So this is for you. And I'll talk to you in a few minutes about how you can sign up for this. It's really simple. You're going to just be emailing coaching@quility.com and you're going to be able to get connected. And this cohort runs an hour per week. We kept the cost very, very low compared to some historic costs that we were charging for coaching outside of the pricing menu that we had. So we've got a $225 one-time investment for this, or 3 payments of $100 per month. And you could see here the results that we were expecting from this cohort. And I'm going to talk to you about what results we've seen very clearly, so you can hear some testimonials from people who've participated in this. So we were expecting that you'd be able to get an activity roadmap to hit your bullseye, a daily mind ritual. Kishon talked about that on the builders call, the importance of belief, accountability, repeatable results in the SFG systems, referrals to new clients and new recruits, and using systems to automate, scale, and multiply your time. So I'm just going to read through a couple pages of results. I want to sort of overwhelm you with results from what's happened 7 weeks in. Now, before I read these, what I want to say too is 70% of your learning and development comes from you just grinding it out, hands in the dirt, learning from what you're doing. 20% comes from a coach or a mentor, and 10% comes from taking a course or going to a class or something like that, right? So we know that coaching is not the whole picture. And in fact, all of you that have agents, you're maybe a team leader, key leader, agency owner, everything we're designing is really to serve you as well. It's not excluding you in any way, shape, or form. We actually are honoring the fact that you all are the ones day in and day out serving your agents, and we're trying to supplement and provide things that will help. But just let me read through these so we can get the gist of what's going on in this Activate cohort. The best month ever prior to Ignite was 2,500. Month to date before the final week last month was 16K. My mindset has increased tremendously. I'm now running my business like there is no way to fail. I've become more productive because my schedule is filled to avoid major distractions that were hindering my productivity. I set alarms for every major task. Now I'm back-to-back 3 to 5K weeks. You're helping me dream again. I love this one. My mindset now wears a suit of armor. I've had back-to-back weeks of almost 5K, and I haven't blanked a week since starting. My exponential growth and confidence shows others what's possible. My performance is igniting and challenging others to do better. Ignite Performance is like a coaching protein bar. This is like, man, this person had a marketing background or something, right? All the essentials are packed in and it's easy to grab and consume. It's the right fuel for sustainable high-level performance. I'm maintaining my consistency with only 1 week with no sales in several months. The week after I started Activate, I did 7K. That was double my best week. Activate will continue to impact how much I produce. I'm also coaching others who struggle with self-doubt in our company. You're changing my life by changing my mindset daily. I'm a better producer, husband, and father than I was when I started. I qualified for a trip, had my highest issue paid month to date. This has helped my team be more motivated because they see me having success and they believe in the system because of it. This has also helped me to get 2 of my close friends into licensing. They reached out to me and want to do what I'm doing now because they've seen what I've accomplished in just 1 year. First 10K week, best back-to-back 2 weeks ever. Booked at least 10 appointments. I mean, I can go on, but I want to read this last one. It hasn't improved my production yet. It will. My biggest personal professional win from the start, I was broken. I was on my last leg here. I felt like the unluckiest woman in the world. I was in despair, felt like a failure. I went from despair to hope that I could do this well. I'm losing the mindset of failure and starting to see real change in myself. You are like water to a dying plant. I am learning to live again. I am learning to hope. Justin, I had tears in my eyes when I was reading that last one. I mean, this is a coaching cohort to help salespeople produce better, to be in the right mindset. And every time I get off the phone with you, you're talking about changing people's lives. And we're seeing that happen. And we're seeing it happen for a number of reasons. But in this case as well, it's obviously our agents' hard work and engagement, but who you are and the value you've brought is just exceptional. So I just want to ask you a question before I roll out these new cohorts. And that is to say, what have you learned? What have you picked up from working with our Symmetry agents so far that stands out? And what are one or two things that you would say just to this whole group of thousands of people on this call that are just really clear to you, that you see agents doing this? And here's a couple things you could speak into just briefly before we roll out these cohorts here.
Yeah, man, I was just getting overwhelmed by listening to you read those out. That's so awesome. The big thing that I'm seeing is the mindset shift, right? Which is what we start with. And I tell people in the beginning, if you'll just trust the process and trust me that this works, the only risk that you have is that you don't show up and do it. And that's it. Right? Can you hear me okay, Brian?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So it's just developing that mindset, and we call it unleashing the beast, right? The only thing holding anybody back is themselves. And it's like unleashing the beast to serve other people and taking the spotlight off of ourselves. What are people thinking about me? All that stuff. And that mindset starts to create confidence and belief that this has worked for this person. It doesn't take that long. I mean, like some of these people, they were doing 2,000 of APV and they're going to hit 20 this month. And so it's like that, it just does not take as long as you think. But you got to get that belief and confidence and figure out what you want, why you want it, and then figure out how we're going to go get it with specific action. But then on top of that, it's like digging in and creating associations around that activity so that it's the activity doesn't seem fearful for them. So it's just like digging in, working on skills, mindset, systems. And the only difference between average producers and top producers is what they do with their time, their daily habits, and working on their skills. So that's what these guys are committed to doing. I mean, they're all showing up every week. I mean, the first week it was like big challenge. And I'm like, hey, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to push you to get what you want. And that's what these people are doing. And I'm proud of them. Yeah. Shout out to the group right now.
Absolutely. I know out of all the days our chat functioning isn't working. We'd love to have people in your cohorts in the chat, but that's not possible today. All good, because we'll talk about this for the next couple of weeks. So here's what I want to do. I've got a lot to cover still in a short amount of time. So what I would like to do is, if this is you right here, if you've written 6 apps and you're on your way, if you've written 6 apps all the way through Team Leader, if you want in a cohort, take a picture of this slide right now. And if you're in a car and you can't take a picture, just email coaching@quility.com, but take a picture. And you should want to be in one of these if you're not, based on all of those results, and be part of it. Obviously, check with your mentor as well. But in this case, we'd say, feel free, go ahead and when you're ready, email coaching@quility.com and say, hey, I want to try out that Ignite Performance 10-week challenge with Justin. That's one of the cohorts we're launching. This one will launch in January. So we're not in a big hurry right now to launch quickly. This one's launching in January. But because of the effectiveness and because of just really wanting to serve as many people as possible, we're going to launch a couple other cohorts with Justin that are very short, brief interventions. And this first one is also for the activate phase. And we're calling this one Sales Cycle 101. And in Sales Cycle 101, you're going to be practicing the fundamentals, going over your sales cycle, game film. And this is really for you. If you are brand new and you've just been licensed, you haven't even written a policy yet, this could be for you. And if you're a new writer and you want to improve your close ratio, this is also for you. So maybe you've written a couple policies and, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. But this is really targeting those brand new people. And of course, if you're a little further down the road and these topics that you're seeing resonate with you, there's an open door here. But go ahead and take a picture of this one. You can see the overall cost for this 6-week program is $135. And you can see the kinds of things that Justin's going to be working with you on: mindset. How do you set up the game to win? How do you sharpen your saw daily? Top producer phoning, association, sales cycle review. Very nuts and bolts, very practical. Justin, do you have one thing to say about this 6-week cohort? And we do want to launch this one to serve you all as quickly as possible. So if you want to even email now, coaching@quility.com, and say, I want in on Sales Cycle 101, that's your call to action. We're happy to get you connected right away. Justin's ready to launch these whenever. But go ahead, Justin, anything you want to say about this nuts and bolts, very early on cohort that we're launching here?
Yeah, this is huge. So this is a big deal, is getting, like Todd said earlier, is it's pretty simple, right? You buy leads, you call them, you meet with them. And so what we want to do is create a really good mindset around like a good phoning warm up, and having a totally different mindset shift so that we're super effective on the phone and really getting agents to buy into using the scripts that have results that their agency owners want them to use, right? And then get really, really good at the presentation. So like breaking the presentation down into chunks and getting really good at it. And that's going to produce results. They're going to get apps. You don't have to be here 6 months before you start getting a lot of apps. You could get apps first month, first week. The process is in place, but it's like, we got to get the mindset. We got to create the associations. We got to dig in and really understand how to pull pain and know how to get referrals, program our clients, all that good stuff.
Great.
It's awesome.
Great. And all of this, just as we're going through, I've got a couple more cohorts that we're launching. All of this is very aligned. We've been working hard on a learning and development strategy that's very precise, very intentional, exciting rollouts coming in 2022. But this is very tightly aligned to what we're building. All right. This next cohort is more for the accelerate phase, right? Accelerate is key leader to agency owner. And this one is on the Focus 24 productivity system. And so the Focus 24 productivity system, you can look at this 5-week kind of outline. If this interests you, right? This is really about daily time management, systems to scale for automation, delegation, and elimination. How do you set up boundaries to make sure your time is more focused? Justin, anything you want to say about this particular productivity system? Who would benefit from being a part of this cohort?
Almost everybody. But you become a recruiting magnet when you're hitting all of your goals within specified high fence boundaries. So you have these goals. Everybody's going to want your life if you're able to do it within those boundaries. And everybody needs help with organization, time management systems. So it's really taking their goals, plugging them all into their schedule. And it's like, what are we going to get done in the next 24 hours? Because time, we don't have 10 years. We don't have 5 years. I tell people a story about my brother with this. And it's like, you have 24 hours to get things done that are important to you, right? And that's what we do. 24 hours, baby. Great. We're getting it done. We don't put anything off.
Great.
Right.
Love it, man. Love it. And by the way, these prices, this is $225 for the whole 5-week experience. If you go back and go through that results list, that is so ridiculously low priced. It's at the danger of being too low for the value that you're going to get out of this. But we are, again, designing these systems that serve you well, that make coaching accessible at a price level that's appropriate to your level. So that's what we've been really working on. Justin, thank you so much, bro. I'm going to do one more cohort launch. You feel free to stay on camera as well. This last cohort launch is a part of our advance track. And this is really for, man, if you're at the agency owner all the way through regional agency director, sort of one, I think I did contract level on this one, but this one is really about agency strategy, execution, and alignment. And this one's going to be led by our Quility Advanced coach and professional EOS implementer, Tim O'Neill. Tim is also a certified franchise executive, and we're not a franchise organization, but the relationships are similar. And so Tim has a lot of experience. He's already coaching a number of our Quility agents, Symmetry agents. But check this one out, because this is going to interest you, and a number of you are going to want to participate in this one. So this is for serious agency builders. If you are at the 100 to 115-ish range around that contract level and building, and feel free, this one has a little more flexibility if these topics resonate with you. What it's going to be, or when it's going to happen, really is you're going to have a 2-hour intensive session once a month. And then you're going to have a 1-hour, what we call IDS coaching session once a month. And IDS simply stands for Identify, Discuss, and Solve. And so you're going to go deep for 2 hours, and then you're going to have an hour of informal processing with Tim. Tim is world-class professional EOS implementer. The guy is super, super sharp. And we're positioning our coaches at the level that we think that they're going to be best, right? I mean, Justin, right where he's at is in his sweet spot. I mean, he is loving life. The beast within Justin is unleashed for our agents. It's perfect, right? Same with Tim. Now, what this cohort is about you developing a 2022 strategic plan. But not only that, it's understanding of how do you build that plan so you can reproduce it in the future. Let's say you want to go to one cohort and be able to take all the tools and skills that you've learned and put it into a different cohort, go for it. You want to learn the tools and skills and just not be part of a cohort and do it on your own. Great. That's what this is going to be for. Tim's also going to apply Pat Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions of a team to improve your agency health. That's going to be the starting place of this one around agency alignment. He's going to help you create a 90-day world, and you're going to come away with tools for people development. So the cost on this one is $625 per month. We're going to do an initial 6-month commitment, but you will extend that. And Tim's ready to do that. But you wouldn't want to do less than 6 months to really get the feel for what this is about and getting the tools installed, but you will go beyond that if you're part of this. So if you're interested in this one, take a picture of this, email coaching@quility.com, and you'll be able to do that. So I'm going to do one more run through of, sorry, I'm coming back to that.
Go back. I didn't get my picture.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back. Yeah, that's right. All right. One more run through. If you want to do the 10-week challenge, go ahead and take a picture of this or email coaching@quility.com and say, I want in on the 10-week challenge. If you want to do Sales Cycle 101, this is a 6-week one. For brand new people, take a picture or email coaching@quility.com and say Sales Cycle 101. That's all you need to say. If you want to do Focus 24 productivity system, take a picture of this, email coaching@quility.com and say Focus 24. And then for the advanced cohort, it's coming back. Here we go. So this is like, agency owners and above. I want to do a strategic plan. I need to get some healthy rhythms, 90-day world, EOS tools, and more. This is a custom cohort, but take a picture of this one. So I've used up many, many words today, but for your greater good, the things that we're building with our coaching initiative and learning and development, world-class, off the charts, so excited for what's coming and in so many ways. Justin, appreciate you, bro. And have a good rest of your day and excited to get these cohorts launched.
I mean, Justin, when I get to talk to agents and they call and they're so excited, they just left a session with you and or actually we're out in the field implementing and they've doubled their production and the excitement, buddy. Just I hope you hear it and see it too, buddy, but you're greatly appreciated. You're making a huge impact. And it's just become a daily ritual for me to get 1 to 2 text messages a day from somebody that you've helped out. And we appreciate the efforts, buddy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You're not using Justin out there right now, guys. And if you're not getting the results that you want, or even if you think you are getting the results you want, but are curious if maybe there's more, guys, if you're not working with Justin, you're missing out.
Yeah. And I just got a text too from Amy Fine. We'll have Amy on one of these weeks because she said, I want to give a shout out to Tim O'Neill. This course is going to impact many people. Tim has changed my life. Like Tim's coaching Amy. The dude is incredible. We only have an option of great to exceptional coaches that we bring on, right? They're all amazing. And Todd, you've connected us to another one that we're going to roll out probably in January, a very, very high level executive coach that we're positioning to really work with our top people. And that's going to be exceptional as well. So super grateful to serve y'all and connect you to the right people at the right time so you can learn what you need to learn at the right time.
Man, we appreciate you, B-Dub, so much and just the impact you made. I mean, you've been with the organization in one way or another for so long, but to see what you've done since you moved over here and been dedicated, it's just, It's amazing. I mean, no, what company on the planet offers this type of intentional personal development opportunities to improve your business and to do it at a highly subsidized price is just, it's nothing like that. There's nothing like this out there. I don't know. I get emotional about it. So we appreciate you very much, B-Dubs.
Thanks, bro. Thank you. I'm with you, man. Well,
all right.
What's on deck, Mr.
We want Kishon.
Man.
The man, the myth, the legend. He's got some kind of cool graphics behind his head. It's like a...
No, it's actually my sock puppet kind of.
Nice. Are we going to get a puppet show today?
Let's see here. I can't get the angle right.
It looks like the Windows logo, like intentionally. Like
that's what I was thinking. It's like the Windows logo on acid, maybe. I don't know.
That's right. You got it.
Well, Kishon, give us a little preview, buddy. What are we talking about today?
I do want to plug what Brian has been rolling out, and I'll just tell you guys, we would probably attribute a lot of our growth to the coaching sessions that we were able to receive with Brian, and really his pulling together these cohorts. This is really the formula for you guys to be able to achieve, and I just want to personally extend our gratitude, Brian. I mean, you've made a huge difference in our life, and and all the agents that are a part of our organization.
Thanks,
so,
man. Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
You bet. Thank you.
Well, and it's likely influenced a lot of our topics. So our topic that we have lined up today, what is your currency? We've got our agency owners, and then also soon to be agency owners. They're in that pathway. So key leaders. And so how would you like to introduce these folks?
Man, we're excited to hear from all of them, Kishon, and just to say to you, the growth that your organization has experienced, the number of agency owners, the number of directs, the number of key leaders that your organization continues to put out is phenomenal. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we didn't get to have many activities the last couple of years, but the few that we did sneak in, I got to meet some of the individuals that I see that are coming on to talk today, and just how motivated, how passionate, how dedicated they are to the success of where their agency is going. But also the common theme that I always saw was this family-like atmosphere and dedication to want to make an impact and be a better person and leave a legacy on this earth that's far greater than money. And so I just wanted to tell you that I appreciate that leadership. I appreciate getting to meet these fine folks that are going to speak today, because they certainly touched me in a very short session over a couple of dinners. I'll turn it over to you, buddy, and let you roll with it.
Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it. We're just taking cues from all you guys, from Casey, Brandon, Brian, and wanted to leave that fingerprint, that thumbprint on history as being an individual of impact. And so we'll roll with this topic. If we want to be able to just let's see all these beautiful faces of our panelists. They're popping up. We got Jordan Howell, one of our agency owners out of Iowa. He's a small town, Iowa. So Earlville. Is that right? Earlville, Iowa. Anyhow, we've also got out of Austin, Texas, is agency owner Carlton Lear. He's a very fond, familiar face for a lot of people. We've got key leaders, Wade Shiu and Victoria Shiu out of Fort Mill, South Carolina. Also with us is Miss Melanie Ray, an agency owner out of Houston, Texas. And then another key leader, look at these folks, Holly Jacobs out of Nashville, Tennessee. And so you'll be hearing from them on their, round of applause. Look at that.
This is like the dream team here. I've gotten a little time with everyone on here, some more than others, but oh my gosh. This is, I love the quality of work that gets done in the Monteith group and all these high performing, just great people. So good to see this group here. It's exciting.
Yeah. Well, as we were preparing for this topic, there's a lot of just firing off of ideas and thoughts, and really just this whole topic, I'm going to tell you, is going to draw up a lot of passion for us. It's something that we strongly believe in. And what is your currency is going to, there's a little bit of a veiling in really the topic itself. So we're talking about currency, but we're also going to talk about assets. And so that's where I'll lead in. Assets, one of the things that you probably think about, you've probably spent some time with an accountant or a financial planner, and they are looking at what your assets are. And it's typically in a monetary value. What is it that is of value? And so there's 3 assets that we have. Capital asset, which your accountant's going to be looking at. What are those account values? Some people have more than others, right? Some have a little, some have a lot. There's a second asset that you possess, and hopefully you're taking notes. So capital, time, some have a little, some have a lot. And then the third one is knowledge. Some have a little and some have a lot. You may have some that, that have a lot, but it doesn't really translate into value for them because they're, waiting tables at a restaurant. They got a PhD, but weren't waiting tables. And so if I kind of challenge you with a thought, which is the most valuable? And I've got, so our Zoom land folks, I know their mind is unmuted and they're saying, time, that's it. Time is the most valuable. How do you know that time is the most valuable? How do you know? And it's through the knowledge and experience going through life that you assess that time is very valuable. So which is more valuable, is knowledge or time? See, knowledge influences how you use time, if you spend or invest it. These 3 assets are important for you because what you need to understand is that knowledge can synthesize, it can draw out of the nothingness, it can create capital. Capital can end up buying you back time. And time is able to be spent with the things, with the people you want, doing the things that you want. The value of knowledge is important for you to understand. So let's draw the point a little bit further. How do we know that knowledge is valuable? Application of it. Well, how many of you realize that trains are bad for your health? Melanie, are trains bad for your health? Did you know that? Well, trains are bad for your health because here's one of the things. If you are standing on the tracks of a train and when it comes, you will die. Okay, we understand that. Okay, so we understand that if you hear it coming, you see it coming, and you realize that if you do not move, you're dead. It's only through the application of that knowledge that by your moving off the tracks that you see the benefit. This call, you're going to learn about what is your currency. And what I'm hoping you're doing right now is that you've got one of these and you've got a notepad. And what you're doing on every one of these calls, but especially this one, is you're taking some notes so that you can archive this knowledge. Then you can identify, how am I going to apply it today? How am I going to apply it this week? How am I going to apply it this month? So that it translates into a realized value for you. Okay? Let's learn about what is your currency. Agency owner Jordan Howell is going to help us open up this topic.
Thank you, Kishon. Jordan Howell, I am direct to Kishon and Johanna Monteith. Incredibly grateful for your mentorship, Kishon, and the pathway that Brandon, Casey, and Brian have made for all of us. When you hear the question, what is your currency? That sounds kind of an open-ended question, right? What comes to your mind specifically? In fact, right now, everybody, I want you to picture in your mind something that represents currency. Now, most of you are probably picturing this. It's money. See, to us, money represents currency because there is a value attached to it. But now if I take this same money and I were to take it, say, deep into the Amazon rainforest, and I found an indigenous tribe who had never seen money before, and I gave it to them, would it be currency? No. It's still money, but there's no longer any value attached to it for them. It doesn't mean anything to them. In fact, the greatest currency it would represent is for them to ball it up and maybe use it to start a fire with. So currency isn't about money. It represents value. So when we ask, what is your currency? What we're really asking is, what is your greatest value? When it comes to our Symmetry business, we are in the business of creating value for others, both for our clients and for our agents. So now the question becomes, how do we create the most value in our business? That can be a hard question, because just like money, a currency can change from one place to another. What has value in one place, in one country, may not have the same value in another. But something that Brandon, Brian, and Casey found when they founded Symmetry was a universal currency, something that creates value no matter who you are, where you are, or what you're doing. That universal currency is culture. That is why we talk so much about culture here at Symmetry. And is that importance of culture that we're going to be digging into today. And to help us with that, I want to introduce somebody who I have looked up to since I came to Symmetry, somebody that I would consider a very good friend, top producer and key leader, soon to be agency owner, Mr. Wade Shiu. We refer to him affectionately as Mr. Low and Slow. He has the greatest radio voice ever.
Thanks, Jordan. Wade and Victoria, we're direct to Kishon and Johanna Monteith. And as I think about culture, I'm kind of a word person, and I like to look at where culture comes from. The word culture actually comes from an agriculture term, to cultivate. And anybody's ever worked on a farm or maybe had a garden of sorts, they understand what that is. They understand the planting and the harvesting aspect of it. And Symmetry is no different. But to only look at that aspect of cultivation is really to minimize what the true sense of the word really means. It's actually threefold. It's present, it's future tense, and it's even further into the future. You have the first definition of cultivate, and that is the one that we all understand. That is to prepare the ground so that the seed or the tree or whatever it is can grow to its fullest potential. But it doesn't stop there. You know, if you were to plant something and the ground is what it is, and that thing starts to sprout through, and then I walk away and leave the plant to fend for itself, I haven't cultivated the plant. The second meaning of cultivation is to take something that is already formulated and to see it through to its fruition, to its full potential. And then lastly, you know, if you've done any sort of agriculture for any length of time, you know that if I plant this amount of seed, I cultivate it in this way for this amount of time, I will get this predictable result. Very similar to like the DCAs that we have here. If I make this many dials of this type of lead and so on, we can predict that. And so, you know, we think about culture, and as people are listening, some of them are thinking like, well, how can I get a culture? If you write down anything that I say, I'd say this is the highlighted point, and that is people are asking a lot of times, how do I create a culture in my organization? And I promise you, you already have. Whether you have intentionally done it or whether you have passively done so, every team, even if it's an agency of one, you have a culture that you have created intentionally or by default. The better question is, how do I create a good culture? And Jordan, you had mentioned earlier when we were chatting that you have a definition of the difference between like a plant and a weed. And if you could maybe kind of cover that with us.
Yeah, so, one of the, if we relate it back to agriculture, one of the purposes of cultivating a crop, for example, one is to support healthy growth with the plant, but also is to expose and remove the weeds. Well, what is a weed? If everybody thinks about in their mind right now, what is a weed? Maybe you think of a dandelion or something, right, in my yard. Well, so what's interesting about that is, so last year I reseeded my yard because I didn't want there to be weeds. And so I spent a lot of money on some really nice Kentucky bluegrass seed, sprayed all the existing weeds, reseeded the yard. My yard looks beautiful. A full lush lawn of Kentucky bluegrass. There are no weeds in my yard, and I felt really good about that. And when I seeded my yard, I used a seeder box that kind of goes on an ATV. And a couple months later, I went to plant a patch of turnips and radishes. And guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to clean out the seed box on my seeder. And there was still Kentucky bluegrass seed in the bottom. So what do you think came up in my turnips and radishes that I planted? Kentucky bluegrass. And now the same plant that is highly valued in my yard is now an undesirable. Now it's a weed, not because of what it is, but because it's in the wrong place. Its location. So maybe when we're talking about culture, maybe we were in the wrong place before, or maybe, sometimes we have to guard our culture because somebody's in the wrong place here. It's not about who that person is necessarily, is, what constitutes a weed is what's the right location for it to be.
Thanks, Jordan. I appreciate that. And as we think about culture and how to effectively create a positive culture, you think if culture is so predictable, if culture is so beneficial, then why isn't everyone doing it? And I've come up with really three reasons as to why culture is not readily accepted. And the first thing is there's a time factor. You plant a seed, you don't harvest it tomorrow. There's a time effort into it. And so to get 10 people to minimum to a Denver conference, to fill an owner's packet, to see a benefit in your business 90 to 120 days down the road in business income, it's not necessarily something that everybody wants to wait on. Carlton Lear taught me this months ago. He said, this business is a crock pot business in a microwave society. Everybody wants everything now. And to wait for something, even if it's better, people would rather have the now than wait for the better. So the first thing is time. The second thing is work. When we were on our key leader run, I was working multiple time zones, and I was up and on a computer at 4 a.m. and I got off the computer. I fell asleep in an appointment one time. I was working the West Coast, and it was 8 o'clock there, and I was at 11 o'clock, and they spoke to me, woke me up. I still wrote the app, but it's work. It's a lot of work. And if it was, Carlton taught me this, if it's easy, it's sleazy. And we want to put in time, we want to put in effort. And then lastly, it's life. Life gets in the way. Families lose a loved one, or an agent leaves, and that adds a component to your business, to your life. Whereas if it was just me, I could be average. If it was just us, we could be average. But if we bring on people we then have to bring it, if we care, if relationships do matter and people do come first, then we have to share the burdens that they have as well. And so I want to, with regards to that type of culture, Carlton, if I could turn this over to you, talk about really the two different types of culture that we have or that are possible.
Yeah, for sure, brother. Carlton, Lear, direct to KJ, Kishon, and Johanna Monteith, Austin, Texas. So proud to be and blessed to be on this call. I appreciate the owners, and I appreciate you, Kishon, and your wife, your leadership, and what you're doing for us. Speaking of that, about cultures, I think there's two types of cultures. The first one is what people are very familiar with coming in because of our practice experiences in other companies. So there's a what culture. The what culture is in Symmetry is what to do next. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to study for my exam. I got to pass my exam, even though the exam means nothing compared to what we do. I've got to then get on quarterly training. Then I got to buy leads. Then I got to learn how to set appointments. Then I got to learn the phone script though. Then I got to make sure there's a show ratio. Then I have to run some appointments, learn product training, focus on my PPO. What's a closing ratio? There's so much. And what happens is when you jump into a what culture, you actually become overwhelmed. Anybody been out there in conference call and been tired or drained or overwhelmed? Like, this is just a lot to digest. I didn't think it was going to be like this. That's because part two, which we're not focused on, which we should, is focus more on a who culture. Who culture is more about personal development, coaching, counseling. It's focused on working from rest, not working to rest. Focus on that Sabbath. It's focused on an attitude of gratitude so you're not so emotionally overwhelmed or sensitive. It's focused on understand the concept that real business takes time. Understand that it's a process-driven organization, not a results-driven organization, meaning this, that, hey, if I have no shows, that's okay. If I didn't close or help a family, that's okay. It's called grace in business, which basically means eventually you'll get it. But it's a process. And when we focus on more of the who, then we understand that it's a process. We don't put so much pressure on ourselves. And I think that's the biggest thing that people should understand about the two cultures, what versus who. We're coming in organically about what, but we should be more focused on who. And when you focus on who, if you want to write something down, write this down. When you focus on the who, the what becomes easier. When you focus on the what becomes overwhelming. And that's a big thing. We want to make sure people understand that. So speaking of that, let's roll over here into Holly Jacobson. Holly, you're a key leader with Symmetry Financial Group here through the Monteith organization. Why don't you kind of give us maybe some insight about the benefits of focus on a healthy who culture compared to a what culture?
Thank you, Carlton. Yes, I'm Holly Jacobs, direct to David Jacobs in the Lear Agency. So I am a musician. I'm in a band with my sisters who happen to be in Symmetry as well. I'm living in Music City in Nashville, Tennessee. So my mind goes toward analogies involving music. And just in bringing out the who culture, I think of an orchestra conductor because they have a huge role in playing to create the unity of a group of individual musicians. So the conductor is not the one creating the sound, rather helping bring out the gifts that are already within the instrumentalists. So it just helps create that safe environment for instrumentalists to produce their sound authentically. A conductor seems to stand out and have the most control of everyone in the group. However, the conductor has the most humble role, and the conductor is the silent leader there to help everyone else be seen and heard. And this culture protects others and establishes the expectations. Instrumentalists have to lead themselves and learn their instrument apart from the whole orchestra. The conductor sets the expectation and disciplines for the whole group, which will weed out those who are not willing to follow. It's one band, one sound. This is the culture that I stepped into when I joined Symmetry and the Lear Agency. I grew from seeing our leaders conduct with humility and invest time and finances in my growth, as well as the growth of our team. And the trust was created because our conductors were not creating the sound for me. They weren't creating my sound. They were providing the tools by example for me to follow and produce my own sound within the group. This brought unity through a duplicatable system that other agents after me could safely follow and authentically trust. And with that, I'll kick it back to you, Carlton.
Yeah, that conductor analogy is pretty legit. It reminds me of Symmetry, what they're doing. So basically, for those who understand it, in conference call land, you may not know this because conductors are invisible, but they hold so much value or currency. And the reason they do is because Symmetry right now, it promotes so much volume of growth. In other words, you have the owners right now and they're investing in certain things behind the scenes. Anybody out in conference call land or on the builders call, and you love hearing about the SBLI thing that they're doing right now, that's how easy that app is, or how they're investing into paying for your life insurance when you first get involved. They're plowing the snow and salting the road so you can drive smoothly through it at 3 o'clock in the morning when it's the coldest outside. It creates growth. I know in our organization right here, back in on this call here, through I think 6 months ago, combined, the teams were doing about 106,000, and 6 months later, because Symmetry was plowing that snow for us and salting the roads, and we're now cruising 6 months later into $370,000 a month of volume. So it's pretty awesome. So it creates volume. Another thing conductors do really well also is that they promote a healthy culture, a healthy who culture, where the results are actually long-term and sustainable. When you run alone, you get, what's that old saying? If you run fast, you can run fast, but you're run alone. But you can run together. It's a lot greater that way. So what happens is, in that culture there, what makes it sustainable is because when you get a little low, you realize it's just a process. It's just some no-shows. It's not a big deal. It makes the what easier. It makes you get back after having some no-shows to do it again. It makes it easier to keep moving and keep hiring the hiring process. Also, so it creates a safety net. But I think the biggest thing about sustainability with the conductors, what they're so genius with, is that when your bandwidth gets low individually, when you're by yourself, the unit of the whole organization gets involved and they piggyback and they help each other out. I think that's the biggest thing. When we see Symmetry heavily investing behind the scenes, which we don't really know that they're investing, but they are, we're like, I don't know. I'm just going to go back and do it again. It makes it sustainable long term. So I just think that for overall with a conductor, they're quiet when they run that Boston Symphony, but they've got the best symphony in the world for a reason. So speaking of that, let's shift over to Wade Shiu. Wade, why don't you kind of talk about how to develop a who culture as an individual for those here in conference call land?
Yeah, thanks, Carlton. So to the who culture itself, we always want to point to not only something that's practical, but something that's duplicatable. And the best list that we can point people to that has been here since we have been here is the core values of Symmetry. I want to take one that I think really helps to kind of springboard the who culture, and that is open, honest, and productive communication. Right? We've all been around people that have been open and honest, but their communication wasn't necessarily productive. So there are things that you can say that are true, but they don't necessarily need to be said, or maybe not at that time, as we heard from the weed example. I thought about this with creating a who culture. It all starts on the inside. Robert Kiyosaki said in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a person's money will never grow faster than they do. You think about that. Somebody who gets money too quickly, a superstar, a celebrity, inherited money, the lottery, whatever the case is, and it's gone. Why? Because their money was bigger than they were. And I have to think about this. It's not just with me. I'm the rock, or I'm a rock, a pebble that's kind of thrown into a pond, right? It makes an impact where it hits, but the ripple effects of that influences me, my team, cross-pollination, Symmetry as a whole. What I do, the culture I develop, can impact people far across even the United States, and I can either enhance the brand of Symmetry, or I can defame it just through the culture that I created. So, I want to pass this to Jordan. I think you had a testimony that you wanted to share with us.
Thank you, Wade. It's just that, we're spending a lot of time talking about this what culture versus a who culture, right? And that's something that I'm very passionate about, because I have experienced both. So I came from a what culture. Prior to Symmetry, I was a corporate sales executive for a very large Fortune 500 company. As Wade was talking about earlier, everybody has a culture. But that corporate sales culture, it's very, very much a what culture. It's all about how many calls are you making? How many people are in your pipeline? You know, what's the timeline on closing this deal? Oh, you lost that deal. How are you getting your numbers back up? It's all about what things. And what that does is it crafts a mindset where you forget about the people that you're doing it with. So it's like when I was in that culture, like we would have accounts that would be in our name, and then there would be like a notification. You could watch people's accounts, and like if it expired out of their name, like people would pounce on it within hours, and we were encouraged to do that. So why is anybody going to try to help anybody else be successful when we're constantly trying to cut each other's throats? And what's interesting is in the industry I came from, there's a very, very high turnover rate. In fact, it's near 100%. And we actually had a meeting once where the company leaders in the office were talking about how do we improve culture. Their solution was to get a snack box for the office because that'll make everybody feel better. Because they're all focused on the what things and not the who things. And when I came here, I still had that mentality because I didn't know that there was another type of culture that existed. And so I came here and I was doing all the things that Carlton just talked about. I was worried about my DCAs. I need this many leads. I need to make this many dials. I need this many appointments. I was doing all of the what things, and it wasn't working the way that I wanted it to. And I remember when I finally got it, was actually the second month of my agency owner run earlier this year. Everything kind of came crashing down. I had one of my agents quit. There were just stuff going on outside of Symmetry, and I kind of hit a wall. I was at an impasse, and I didn't know how to fix it. And I thought I would have to fix it by addressing all of the what things. And what happened is something that totally blew me away. I got a phone call from Carlton Lear. I'm not in Carlton's organization. He just heard what I was dealing with, and he called me. He stands nothing to gain from calling me. And he called me and asked me what was going on. And I start going into this tirade about all of the what things that aren't working. I need to figure out how to get this production back. I need to get this APV back. I need to hire more agents. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And Carlton said, no, slow down. How are you doing? Like, are you sleeping? Are you eating breakfast? Are you spending time with your daughter? Are you working out? Are you meditating? Are you praying? He's asking me all the things about who am I? What am I doing? And it was at that point that I realized what a who culture is all about, because what Carlton helped me appreciate was that where I got to was not because of the what things that I did. It was because of who I was becoming. That doesn't exist anywhere else. And I've been somewhere else, and that just doesn't exist. And so that's why we focus so much on protecting the culture that we have, because it is really special. So how to, when we're talking about how do we develop this who culture as a leader, to help us with that, I want to bring in another very good friend of mine, a mentor, somebody who I've been blessed to be able to chase since I've been at Symmetry, agency owner, Miss Melanie Porcher-Ray.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction, Jordan. So the question that I want to draw out a little bit for you guys here is how to develop this who culture that Carlton is talking about as a leader. Well, the simple answer is the first step to developing culture is focusing on your personal growth. Anyone who is looking to be a leader here must come to terms with the fact that they are being called to a higher life than the one that they've lived before. You're being called to a higher level of accountability. You're being called to commit and submit to the guiding principles and core values of Symmetry. And most of us have been guilty of this notion that we know better how to work the system than the people who have reached that pinnacle of success in this business. The founders, Casey, Brandon, and Brian, and also folks like Lynn Watkins and Kevin Purdy, Kishon, Monteith, and my partner and friend, Miss Kia Bailey, are all paving the way for us to replicate what they are doing and have done so that we may share in this opportunity. And I'm always grateful for Symmetry, especially that I get to share in this conversation with you guys today. In order to illustrate how we develop this who culture, let's take a step back and first look at why. Why do we focus on culture? Why do we talk about personal development all the time? The need for culture is quite beautifully embodied in an African concept called Ubuntu. First, I'd like to share with you a quick story. An anthropologist who was studying the habits and customs of an African tribe found himself surrounded by children on most days, so he decided to play a little game with them. He managed to get a basket full of treats, decorated it really nicely, and put it at the foot of a tree at some distance. And then he calls the children and suggested that they play a game. When the anthropologist says go, the children had to run to the tree. They were racing, basically, and the first one to get there gets the basket full of treats. So the children all lined up, waiting for the go signal. And when the anthropologist says go, the children all took each other by the hand and ran together toward the tree. They all arrived at the same time. They divided up their treats, sat down, and enjoyed them together. The anthropologist, of course, is a little puzzled. He goes over to them and asks why they had all ran together when any one of them could have had all of those treats to themselves. And the children responded by saying, Ubuntu. How could any of us be happy if the others are sad? So let's consider this philosophy of Ubuntu a little bit. It's basically a concept in which your sense of self is shaped by your relationships with other people. It's a way of living that begins with the premise, I am only because we are. In practice, Ubuntu means believing that the common bonds within a group are more important than any individual arguments and divisions within it. So in essence, what unites us always takes precedence over the things that threaten to divide us. Rene Descartes is often called the first modern philosopher, and his famous saying, I think, therefore I am, has laid the groundwork for how we conceptualize our sense of self. But what if there's an entirely different way to think about personal identity? A non-Western philosophy that rejects this emphasis on individuality. This is exactly what Ubuntu is about. It paints a picture of interconnectedness, a reminder that no one is an island. Every single thing that you do, good or bad, has an effect on your family, your friends, and your team. And it also reminds us that we need to think twice about the choices that we make and the kind of impact that those choices may have on other people. You see, Ubuntu means that an individual is part of his community because of the part he plays in it, essentially what service he provides to it, and conversely, the needs that he receives from it. So there's this symbiotic relationship between each person in a community. Everyone has their role to play. So the doctor can supply healthcare, but he cannot also be the bricklayer. The mason can build your house, but he may not be able to wire it with electricity so that you have light when you move in. The electrician will eat produce from the farmer on his lunch break, but he's not going to be the one that grows the food. However, without all of these people, that community suffers the loss of sustainability. Groups and communities prosper through interdependence of each person within it, and our teams should be built much in the same way. Different voices, different strengths, working together to create that whole. This is the very essence, I believe, of why people come to Symmetry for the financial freedom, but they stay for the culture. So as parents set the tone for their families, culture is something to be curated by leaders carefully and with intention, because this is what's going to be duplicated. This is what's going to be paid forward to your growing teams. And so essentially, culture is the mother of sustainability. So I've spoken at length about collective community, But we understand as well that the biggest number in the world is 1. It all starts with you. And that means cultivating who culture means understanding first that, number 1, culture is like that challenging course in college that if skipped or not taken seriously, it's going to keep you from graduating. It's going to keep you from growing and moving forward past the place that you are right now. So it's absolutely essential. And secondly, that it is our primary responsibility as leaders to do the internal work that it takes to become the change that we want to see. So it all starts with you. So I think all of us really would like to call on anyone who can hear us today to decide to start the journey of becoming a better you. Plug into your Symmetry family, plug into your Symmetry community. Decide who you want to be, because the time to enter that state of becoming is right now. With that, I'm going to pass it on to another super phenomenal woman who I met a couple of months ago at our Vegas conference. Sorry for saying this, Wade, but she is the better half of Mr. Wade Shiu, the one and only Victoria Shiu, is going to talk to us briefly about the difference between Symmetry culture and the one that she came from in her previous career. So Miss Victoria, take it away.
Thank you, Melanie. I appreciate that. So contrasting culture, you know, I came from a company that focused very highly on culture. And I always ask myself, what is my purpose? And maybe some of you can relate to this. You know, what am I here for? What's my identity? And it would always be my job. And it would never be who Victoria was. It would never be who, you know, maybe who Wade is. It always went back to my position. And over time, that is who you are. I know as parents, sometimes, you know, I'm Olivia's mom, I'm Ashton's dad. That's how we identify ourselves. But our purpose can change. Our answer to that question can change depending upon the culture that we're in. And since being with Symmetry, my purpose has changed. I'm no longer in a job class. I'm no longer, you know, in a specific role. It's not, Symmetry in essence is my life. I'm very passionate about Symmetry, but it's not who I am. And just recently, I've started reaching out more to my warm market because I'm now, thanks to Symmetry, all the personal growth that we get, the personal growth that I have gotten over the last several months that I've been with Symmetry has started allowing me to identify who I am as a person. And that has not happened for me in many, many years. The beginning of this year, I had some major events that occurred in my life that made me question myself and made me take the jump from what I was doing and who I was into being full-time with Symmetry. And I'm able to identify a very healthy culture. Wade and I have been heavily involved with just different things in the Monteith Agency. And actually we're able to be vulnerable with each other, all of us. You know, I probably know more things about these individuals that are on this call than I knew about people that I worked with for 10 or 12 years. And that tells you something. What we are building here is a culture of vulnerability and a culture of purpose on who we are. But we're also promoting accountability. And we still really like each other. And there's not this competition between somebody is ahead of me here or here. It's, hey, Holly, you're an amazing key leader. I want to listen to you on the phones. I want to hear you dial. Her sister does amazing on the phones. And so I want to hear her dial. That's the type of culture that we have created here at Symmetry. And my purpose now, just reflecting back on it, and one last thing on reflection, which I think in our agencies that just the culture we've created is, do your reflections. If you have a great appointment, why was it great? What made it great? If you had a bad appointment, what made it bad? And then as a group, we reflect on that. We talk about that and we share that. But my purpose now is to continue to grow personally. I don't think another organization in this country, or honestly, any corporation worldwide, focuses on personal growth as much as Symmetry. But to continue my personal growth and to watch the impact that it's going to have on other people. Like Wade said, that ripple effect. We don't know right now who's sitting listening to this call, nervous or afraid, or I don't know what I'm going to do. I was used to a W-2 paycheck every month. And you know what? I'll never go back to that. Am I worried about, am I going to produce enough? Maybe. But the personal aspect of it, the culture that is with Symmetry is beyond anything that I've ever had in my life, professionally and personally. That is the impact that we have to create, whether it's with our clients, whether it's with the people that we work with, whether it's the people that we recruit. We have so much that we can impact on other people. And to talk more about that impact and recruiting, I think Jordan is going to kind of tie that in.
Thank you, Victoria. It's important because we've talked about so much about how important that culture is, and what really the currency of our culture. There's a book that I'm a pretty big fan of that talks about a pearl of high value, and what you do when you have one. You protect it, you guard it, you keep it safe. When we're talking to people that we want to work with in this business, we have to keep that in mind. There is a reason that we say this business isn't for everybody. Not that we don't want it to be for everybody, because there's certainly a wealth of opportunity. But one of the things that I know Kishon asked me early on in his interview with me, it's something I ask every single person I interview, is when we're talking about, are you a good fit? We're looking for, are you a culture fit? Not what skills do you have? And so for any of you who might be listening, who might be brand new, I tell people in interviews, like I don't really read their resumes. I just don't, because I'm much more interested in who are you versus what can you do. And so if you're new listening to this call, just remember that it's the culture of who you are and who are you going to become that will create durability and sustainability in this business. Because like Carlton was talking about here, we're not here to go fast, we're here to go far. So, Kishon?
So awesome. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you sharing with us. And really what you guys have heard here is they've gone through really what is the importance of culture. Culture is a currency, a universal currency that is something that increases in its asset value, okay? But you have an individual role in contributing to or taking away from it. And that's an honorable thing. That's an honorable thing to be respected. It's an honorable thing to live up to. And so the question I would just present to you that I have to ask myself is, how does my contribution affect our agency's culture? That's a local view. If you expand it further, how does my contribution affect Symmetry's culture? How does Symmetry's culture affect the communities that we're in? And see, here's one of the things is that Symmetry is becoming that household name, and being able to create an impact in the lives of families, the financial future of the customers that we serve, but also in the lives of the agents that we impact. They come here for the income, but they stay for the impact. And what I'm hoping that you can do is you can contribute to that culture and be able to be a part of that ecosystem that Symmetry has made. So thank you, Todd. I'll kind of turn it over to you. Appreciate the time that you guys have given us.
I was really hoping you would send it to B-dubs because I'm speechless right now. I mean, this is the videography team is going to get a hold of this call and what you all just contributed and poured in. And there's going to be some really serious, cool videos made from the content that you guys just poured in that talks about this company and the culture and just the intentionality, the time you all spent to prepare for this call and to speak from your heart. I mean, if anybody has any questions, why Kishon Monteith's entire agency is absolutely exploding right now, I think you've got all your answers at this point. B-dubs, anything?
Man, that's tough to follow. And I do appreciate the, the quality when, there's quality and quantity, right? And both are important. And being such quality people, I used that word earlier, and leaders create culture, sub-leaders create subculture. So again, no surprise, Kishon, with your leadership and influence and the trust that you create and just the person of integrity that you are, and just surrounding yourself with great people. And so good to see that. And, I love it, right? Culture is the competitive advantage, right? A positive culture outperforms a neutral culture, and certainly toxic culture detracts from all the things we want to see, which are income and impact. And so y'all did just such a great job with that, and appreciate the vision, everything that was inspired from this, and look forward to seeing the results. So good stuff. Mic drop, and have a great rest of your day. Any final thoughts, Todd?
Man, just phenomenal. Thank you so much to everybody on here. Thanks to Kishon so much. How you didn't cry watching all of this, I don't know, buddy. You're stronger than me. But final thoughts, Jordan Howell, I think has the most badass backdrop in all of Symmetry I've seen on Zoom. And I think he just walked off the set of Yellowstone. So I'll be looking for your guest appearance on that